1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show.
And the way I saw my team play last week and lost to the second bottom team who hadn't won a game since last October, this week we're playing another bottom team, Wolves, and if we should win, it'll be a pleasant surprise. So that will be good. But so that's a fairly mild, low spectrum part of surprise. It's still quite pleasant, as would be on it's our birthday and you've been out somewhere and you come home, you open the door and they all say surprise. They all sort of jump up, all the people who are there. And that's kind of a bit more up the spectrum, isn't it? If you were surprised, if for example I was writing a book and I was trying to get it published, and eventually after lots of rejections I get a phone call saying we're going to publish your book, you can imagine the joy and the adrenaline, these are all emotions that we have every day, every moment really we're experiencing, and in one emotion or another. Now you gave some very good ones. Now I've got a note somewhere of what this guy Paul, right, he said, this Paul Ekman, after his research in the 70s, he said the emotions he could identify were happiness, sadness, disgust, fear, surprise, and anger. Now the point is, again, if we go to the body reactions, you think you might be watching TV, you might be talking to someone in a shop or anybody else, even here. When someone experiences an emotion of whatever sort it is, there must be a million facial expressions, mustn't there? Probably some main ones, but you would know if somebody was, well, what should we say? One of those emotions. Fear, if somebody, we talked about the dog, if somebody was suddenly frightened, you would pick it up in an expression on their face. And for all these emotions, great, it's something we find funny, amusement, that's another emotion. You can see the way we sometimes laugh, probably at each other rather than with each other. Not really, but laughing is one of the great things, isn't it? Because they say it's the best medicine. It creates endorphins and dopamine, these hormones in your brain and all the rest of it. And it's a great thing to do, so we can tell. And facial expressions are universal as far as they can be. We tend to know what someone is, not necessarily what they're thinking, but what emotion they might be going through. If they're in a line in a shop waiting to be served, they could be sort of tapping their feet and getting a bit frustrated. And you mentioned, I think, frustration. We can tell if someone is frustrated. What we don't always realise is that when we're experiencing emotions, say frustration, that's often very visible. We don't realise it. We're giving ourselves away. We don't think about what our brain is telling us to do. So yeah, these are the things, facial expression. And if we're angry, we might shout at somebody, God forbid, but that's part of being angry. We might stiffen up. Equally, if you just heard you've won the lottery, if you do the lottery, your gaze would be raised and you'd be walking like on air, and life would take on a wholly different meaning in the moments you realise you've won a lot of money, for example. So these are the things. So what I'll ask you now, Cuz, is let's take happiness. Happiness on the spectrum going up to joy, elation. That's a great word. I think you said elated, but it's a great word to describe happiness, isn't it? Which we all really are striving for. We want our lives to be happy and meaningful and so on. So what in your life either would you say gives you happiness, joy, elation, or you can think of a particular example when you felt that? For example, when Amorim was sacked by Manchester United, you may have felt a great surge of joy or pleasure. But no.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang. With fun.
Pleasure. But no, there must be things in your life that you could say, yeah, that really gave me a brilliant buzz. Or things generally you say, yeah, that's kind of thing really gives me a positive, happy emotion. Give me some ideas.
Well, it's not really something for this show, but because of religion. But I find it gives me a lot of joy when I'm able to do something pleasing to God. You know, it's like something really. If I'm able to help somebody, you know, understand the scripture or something. You know, when somebody asks me something and I'm like, okay, leave it with me. Let me do some research. I do some research and I get back to them and they go, oh, do you know that makes sense? Yeah. So that's right there at the top. And then, you have and then you have the football. You know, if England wins, for instance, England wins a match, really excited. Manchester United wins a match, I'm really excited. Clubs like your club, Crystal Palace, you know, just basically God, football, and I think I'll just include my girlfriend in that, my fiance, in case she watches it and she go, I
get your point.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, that one I think is interesting because that reminds me when I occasionally look at something like TikTok, and I find it quite a good one to look at TikTok because it's got a whole range of stuff on it, and indeed Kimberly puts my songs on TikTok as well. But one thing I've noticed quite a lot lately is weddings, given that you've got a wedding coming up, and they become very emotional. I mean, let me just say there, we sometimes say, don't we, something made me emotional. We all must, if we don't say it, we probably feel that in certain situations. We feel emotional, and I guess that probably means that we're not too far from tears. If we're feeling particularly emotional about something, whatever it is, whether for better or worse, really, we may not be far from tears. And I've watched a few of these TikTok videos. And first of all, it's a wedding, so it may be in a church, it may be in some quite ornate surroundings where people can get married pretty much anywhere nowadays. And always a beautiful song. I mean, one that they play sometimes to a choir singing "Can't Help Falling in Love," the old Elvis Presley song, and it's actually part of that song is actually played at Crystal.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang.